Sache, Sabasi, so familiar, so many times we've seen it.
Barzell stops, feeds it, score! It's Horvat in overtime.
Yo hoy matey, welcome to the Isle ship. We have kicked off a member of the crew. That's right, Brandon is not with us today, but we are still trudging along. It is the trade deadline, post-deadline debriefing. So obviously it's going to be positive vibes all around. But I'm here with Eric and Mike and
John Herrick.
Hello, boys. And the last we left off, Lou just had his end of the year, I'm going to make up for all of your complaints press conference. We should, I guess, lead off with that. Mike, if you would like to go over a few of the different tidbits from the presser.
And I'll
start from there.
And I'll start by saying as well, without getting the tweets today, I was extremely mad. I mean, Eric was way more mad than I was, but I was legitimately freaking out because I saw Scott Lawton go for a conditional first. I saw Anthony Beauvillier, who might be a fourth liner at this point in his career. I think you both would agree with that. Probably a guy you throw as your 13th forward, even maybe go for a second-round pick. And then Kuzmenko, who was scratched and I think waived this year. I might be wrong. Someone could correct me, but he went for a third. And I was like, so what is the value on guys like JGP, who's actually been kind of good this year as a 3C, Anders Lee, who's been a first liner for sure, and Kyle Palmieri, who's a 20-goal scorer again. I was, really, really angry that was it, especially because I know we'll go into this mostly later, but I just felt like if you're not keeping Brock, you're not really going to be competitive for the rest of the year. But, that's just my opinion. Opinion. I don't know what I said. But, all right, let's move on to the first quote, and then maybe I can just see how you guys want to react to it.
All right.
So Andrew Gross from Newsday tweeted that the owner, Scott Malkin, joined President and GM Lou Lamoriello here in San Jose. Although Malkin did not speak publicly, Lou said in the first tweet from Andrew, his intention was to re-sign Brock Nelson, and he's working to sign Palmieri. He said there's no hard feelings towards Brock, but Lamoriello was emphatic about that there will be change this offseason and says he knows the team needs to get younger.
I mean, I'd say to that what I already responded to Phil on Twitter, which is that's great. Saying and doing are two completely different things. I'm not even sure if that's possible at this point. Like, so here, I mean, we'll get into this later. I'm running the numbers on the guys who are UFAs and RFAs. Okay, I'm not even re-signing all of them. I don't know where we think this money's coming from, unless you're dumping Lee or Pageau, or like we had talked about earlier, possibly Palmieri, I guess, after you sign him in the offseason. Like, how are you getting younger? First of all, we haven't been able to lure any like banner unrestricted free agents here. So, and I don't think, I'm not a believer. I'm not a believer in that quote. I think he's saying that as lip service because he thinks that's what people want to hear. So,
John, I mean, I could respond to Eric, but I mean, I think, John, if you want to follow that up with probably a more optimistic perspective.
Sure. I think I think it's going to be his attempt. I don't know how successful it's going to be, but I think it's going to be certainly he's going to try to do that. Guys, I think Lou is just a conservative GM, and that's part of the problem here. There's wanting to do something, and there's doing it in a way to where it's just like, I'm getting it done no matter what. I don't care what the return is. I don't care what we get out of it. It's just going to be done. If the market wasn't there for the people that he was shopping, then unfortunately that is what it is. Maybe over the summer, the market will be there. Maybe it won't. I think there's going to be an attempt. I personally have no problem with him saying that we're not trading Kyle Palmieri for a second because he's worth more than that. And I think we would all kind of agree based on the trade deadline videos that we had before this. We were talking about potential Kyle Palmieri trades where we had him going for a lot more than a second round pick. If your market's not there and you're not getting value, I don't think he's going to make that trade. I think
I could be wrong.
During the offseason, you can get more creative with things.
I'm pretty sure I said a second and like a mid-tier prospect, but
I believe at least a first was in pretty much all of our trade packages. And the quote, Kyle Palmieri is worth at least a first round pick, was thrown around at least a few times because we thought that his market would be similar to Brock Nelson's, where we thought that Brock was going to be worth a first and an A-tier prospect or two firsts. We thought Kyle Palmieri was worth at least a first round pick. They didn't get it. I'm fine with moving on.
The fact of the matter is,
I can give you a good counter, Eric, if you want me to help you out here.
So I'm just so confused. That's a lot of people that I've talked to, a lot of my friends that I've talked to, it's just a confusing deadline because it's like you decided to sell the tires off your car.
It's not that confusing.
But not the rest of the parts. Like
it's not that confusing to me just because it doesn't. So, all right. It doesn't seem like this is a situation where he made a tangible decision to sell. It seems like this is a situation where he was kind of forced into selling because A, the person wouldn't sign, and B, he was given an offer that he straight up would have been crazy to refuse.
But here's the thing. So many
extenuating circumstances.
We watched Pittsburgh and Boston go, we are selling everything. We are selling everything we ever anything we can move, we're moving. Which is what everybody, I mean, maybe not everybody, but I think a lot of people thought the Islanders should be doing.
Pittsburgh also bought in a strange way, too. It didn't make much sense.
Guys, what was the return on Marchand? I'm genuinely curious. I never saw it.
It's a
conditional second.
Oh, that's not that good.
It's so the reason that I had to look into this a little deeper. The reason the Marchand trade is not very good is because he's not going to play for the rest of the season.
Right.
Well, regular season. He's expected to be back for the playoffs, but he's not expecting to play for the regular season at all.
I still like that trade a lot. I mean, but I thought he'd get more. But since he's not playing, that makes sense. Here's the thing with the Marchand trade. And it's also why, as fans of a specific team, we need to kind of take a back seat and look at what goes on with the rest of the league. There is not a single Bruins fan that likes that trade. Every single one of them wants to kill Sweeney. Like, actually pick it, get him fired, like, put him up into the rafters.
That's so dumb.
They hate him.
That's so dumb. You won a cup. Like
no.
You won a cup recently.
For a lot of people,
not winning a cup anytime soon.
For a lot of people,
ain't going to be part of the team that wins it.
Pride versus progression.
It's not even that. Brad Marchand's legacy is worth more than a player that's not going to be playing for them. That's what they believe. That's what they all believe.
That's stupid. And
I don't think it's stupid. I really don't.
An actual big market and a place where people do go and like the fact that they made that decision.
John,
the smallest of small, like little brother markets who cannot get UFAs. And the only avenue we have is development, which ain't working, or trades. Like, that's it. That's it.
No, hey, let me come in here real quick.
Go ahead.
I have a really good counter for John because I see it from the Bruins fans' perspectives. I do. If they're saying that, I get it. My response to you is, What do the Islanders have that has the legacy of Brad Marchand?
From an Islanders perspective, Brock Nelson.
Brock Nelson.
Brock Nelson. And we traded him. So
Yeah.
you traded him, but not the rest.
Yeah, that's what
That's what doesn't
confuses.
make sense.
That's where
The
I see
problem-
Eric's side.
The problem there is, to me, from a value standpoint, I don't see the value in trading Kyle Palmieri if all you're going to get back is a late second-round pick. You're going to get somebody that's not going to play.
It's a bottom line question. Is this person a part of what you hope to eventually be a Stanley Cup winning team?
Is the late second?
35-year-old
No.
unrestricted free agent who,
Okay.
granted, is he outperforming what a normal 35-year-old would do? Like, do you expect that trajectory to continue forever? No, and
I don't. But would you rather have somebody who's going to play on the fourth line on your team and get at least 10 to 15 goals a season? Conservatively, he might hit 20 to 25. Or would you rather get somebody that plays 3 games in the NHL and putzes out?
Well, here's the counter that you guys are missing. That Eric's right and you're right a little bit. Is that Kyle Palmieri? I don't have a problem with coming back. My problem with he lives here already, has his family here. What was the problem with Lou going, come back in 3 months? I got a contract ready for you.
Which is what a lot of people think Brock is doing too.
Yeah, there's actual legitimate truth to the fact that if there's ever a guy to come back, it might be Brock. Do you want me to continue with the quotes?
Which, guess what? Is that part of the getting younger part?
I agree that I have no problem with them trading Kyle Palmieri. If they would have traded Kyle Palmieri, I wouldn't have been upset about it. But I'm not going to be upset that they didn't, because we weren't going to get anything out of it.
Got you.
I disagree with that. I'm sorry. There's no
when
way.
do late second-round picks pan out? How often?
There were teams that were calling on Palmieri, Lee, and Pajot. They don't call and say, hey, you want to give them to us for free? That means there were assets available.
Late second-round pick is basically free.
Okay, so first of all, it's a conditional second that can become a first-round pick.
No, it was not. They never said that.
Conditional second-round draft pick will become a 2027, 2028 first-round draft pick if Florida wins two rounds. Of
No. We're talking about Kyle Palmieri, not Brad Marchand.
50% of the team.
We're talking about Kyle Palmieri, not Brad Marchand.
And again, I would say to you that Palmieri's value is more. One.
Yes, so why trade him for that?
Let me finish. One, because he'd be cheaper. We'd be able to retain 50%. He would be cheaper. He'd be easier to fit under the cap. He's healthy now. Okay, so he's going to be able to help you get to a better playoff spot.
You're assuming a market that wasn't there.
Now here's my counter. Hold on.
Contrary.
Hold on. Here's my counter.
No,
Maybe
the evidence is there because the analysts literally said this is what teams were offering.
Guys, you got to let me jump in because otherwise it's just going to be back and forth the whole time. So my counter is, and Eric and John will both disagree with this a little bit, but if Kyle said to the team, Lou, if you trade me right now, I'm not coming back on a team-friendly discount. Now, Eric will go, well, who cares? We're trying to get younger. We're trying to get better. My argument to the contrary is, if Kyle Palmieri comes back on like a $3.5 million deal, and you're trying to win or be very competitive the next couple of years, which to the team and owners' credit and fairness, they have the All-Star game. You don't want to be bad next year. You should bring back Kyle Palmieri. And if Palmieri's saying, don't trade me now, I'll be cheaper. Well, if you were only offered a second and it didn't have any conditions, then you're balancing it out. But my argument then to John is I still wanted them to push to see what the other players would get because I don't know what is going to happen to Jay. I have more faith that Palmieri will still be good over a JGP next year or an Anders Lee. I have no idea. I have no idea what those guys are going to look like. We've seen them be horrendous and fantastic.
It's a very real possibility that this is the peak value for all three of these guys.
It could be.
Completely. No. I agree with both of your points. I think he definitely should have explored the market for these players. And if he didn't, I think he made a massive mistake. I think
100%.
He did. There wasn't a big market. and so he decided that they had better value in staying.
Could be very possible, Eric. You know how weird GMs are. We don't know for sure. Now, granted, if we were to find out that someone offered us like a first, I think we'd all
that
agree.
changes the context.
So,
If
Yes.
JGP was going to get you a first-round pick, then I'm mad about this trade deadline. Then
100%.
my opinion flips.
just to put a little bit of a cap on this first quote from Lou Lamoriello, that
And then I'll move on.
a fucking second. You supposedly just got caught. Like if this were a deposition, my response to, oh, we're going to try and get younger in the offseason is it was reported that you just got calls on 3 of the 4 oldest players on your team.
Very good point.
2 have term, at least for 1 more year, and 1, you've said it's your goal to resign. So how exactly is that in line with getting younger?
When
Maybe he doesn't have
says
to eat
try to
salary.
get younger, when he says try to get younger, there should be an asterisk next to it saying within reason and if the right trades come along. That should be
You know what?
no.
That caveat
That
on
should
all
be
of your stuff is what makes it bullshit.
no, but that should be a parameter for every good GM.
2-time GM of the Year award winner.
That-
Get off your ass and do something.
But
Yeah.
that is doing something. That's being prudent. That should
Well,
be a parameter for every
I've had
single
enough of the
GM.
prudence. I've had enough of the conservative roster non-turnover.
Eric, unfortunately, the trial takes place in the summer, so you have to wait. You don't know the results yet.
What's the answer?
Someone said that to me on Twitter, though, and they're right. If Lou does a good job you know what? Teams will have more money in the offseason, too, Eric. That's another way to look at it. Some team might go, you know what? We really want
up by like $13 million, isn't it?
Some team might have said, "Hey Lou, we're really interested in JGP, but if you're eating half, like great, we're going to give you like a third." Maybe they said, if we don't make this deal now, and it's a team that's on the bubble and they think they'll be better next year, maybe they'll take his whole salary next year because it's only one season. See what I'm saying?
Let me just skip forward to the summer for you guys, okay?
Oh, you can't do that. You can't do that.
We explored moves that
no.
would get us younger. And
You'd be fired as my attorney.
But we didn't. So we like the guys we have.
Being a prosecutor right now, you're supposed to be my defendant.
I
You
think
can't.
there's going to be an attempt made. I don't know how far it's going to go, but I think there's going to be an attempt made.
I'm sorry. We've seen Lou attempt before, and like that's how we.
Hey, we all know this is close to the end.
Re-signing all of our guys instead of getting Panarin and
All right. Well,
and
I'm happy. I'm happy that you brought up Panarin because would you rather the Kyle Palmieri situation or would you rather the Pavel Buchnevich situation? Which is worse?
I don't know what you mean by that.
They didn't move him.
Trading a player that has peak value for something that is not nearly worth their value and losing the trade and whiffing because you need to make a trade.
So here's part of my.
Do you want Pavel Buchnevich to send me,
Kyle
please?
Palmieri's value.
You're talking about the original trade.
Yes.
Do you really see him as like a piece of the Islanders Stanley Cup, the forthcoming Islanders Stanley Cup team?
No, but they do have to be.
I do not. But I see him as a player with value, and if you trade him for not his value, I'm going to be upset.
I don't
Eric,
need the exact value. I'm sorry, that's not how this works.
Eric, the argument is wrong, though. Your argument should be, I want to be competitive. He should have went for a cup for 3 months. That should be your argument. I don't know why that did not happen.
It's not really a thing.
I don't know why he didn't. No, I don't know why Palmieri didn't want it either.
What do you mean, Eric? He grew up here. He grew up here, and he has his family here and a house here. He probably would have come back.
I think Kyle absolutely should have wanted to go somewhere else to win a cup. But
how many times have you seen that?
I can't decide why he doesn't.
Where a guy gets traded and then signs with the same team in the offseason. It doesn't.
Well, Kyle's a different situation because he lives here. Like it's a little. All his family's here.
You don't think this?
Maybe Kyle is looking at the market and going, if no one wants to trade for me, no one is going to give me a good deal when it comes to signing. So I should probably take a good deal here when it's offered to me.
I don't think that's the case either, but it is what it is.
All right, we'll go to the next quote because honestly, you guys have a lot. You guys have said so much that it goes into the rest of the quotes, which is really funny. But the next quote's going to absolutely make Eric insane if he hasn't seen it already. So I hope he hasn't seen it.
I've seen it.
Oh, this one's bad. But I think it's tongue in cheek. Lou Lamoriello on rebuild versus retool. I can't even say it. The word rebuild, that's something brand new over the last several years. If the definition, this is where everyone's like, oh my God. If the definition of a rebuild is a complete breakdown and go forward, that's a good 10 years, right? That's literally what he said.
You know what's funny? I don't think he's being tongue in cheek here. I think he actually believes that
That a rebuild takes 10 years.
That a good rebuild, if you're starting from scratch, takes 10 years to be hyper competitive. Yeah, I think he believes that.
I mean, see, my issue
wrong,
in general,
but I think he believes that.
I always go for retool with the Islanders, and that's because Barzal and Horvat are in like mid to late 20s. So like you kind of have to retool it right now.
You have Sorokin, Barzal, and Horvat. You cannot rebuild properly.
That being said, in 2 years, if this is still the same team, they are going to rebuild. And I mean, that's probably for the best, and you'll be having someone.
So. I think they would retool again.
Depends how it looks and what's going on, because you might have to move some of those guys if it's not going on.
Okay, so
question?
The only way I think they rebuild is if they bottom out completely. All right, Eric, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is a bit of a non sequitur, and this is only what is Pasternak going to do?
What?
They just like marooned Pasternak, like they traded away all the good players on Boston.
He's probably going.
Pasternak do? Pasternak requests the trade.
Yeah, so
in the summer.
Where'd you read that?
Requests the trade in the summer, and if you're Sweeney, you kind of have to trade him at this point because
where'd
you
you
are
read that?
going to have to rebuild.
Where'd you read that?
No, that he's requesting a trade. I didn't. I'm saying what he should do.
Oh, what he should do. No, I agree with you. I'm actually. He might have a no movement, but that's one of those cases where it literally doesn't matter. It's so clear the Bruins are rebuilding.
No, but this is the thing. Yeah, when we're talking a rebuild versus retool. If you're in the Bruins position, they have 0 players outside of Pasternak that have core value to kind of make it so that you should retool versus rebuild. He's the only guy. So right now, since he's older, I think you kind of have to trade him and go into a real rebuild.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Sorry, that was my indication as well, and I was curious where he might end up, but like. That was my.
Oh, he's going.
That is 100% though, and I'm being honest with you guys, 100% the type of player we should go after. I'm just being serious. I mean, like if he's available after you got these picks,
I don't. If you're trying to rebuild, I don't think it makes sense. If you're trying to retool, sure.
Here's the problem.
I'm saying, what do you mean?
The low-level sell-off seemed to make most sense for the Islanders because you've still got core guys. You had guys who had value on the current market and also a future core of Romanov, maybe Dobson, Barzal, Horvat, Sorokin. Like, you've still got building blocks, and the market was valuing whether exactly accurate values or slightly undervalued parts of your team.
This is where I think you're making up those values in your head, though. I don't think those values existed for those players.
John, this is where Lou makes his biggest mistake. Come out and publicly tell us. Why are you hiding this? You are only destroying your reputation. Why not come out and say, listen?
He's never been transparent about anything before. I don't think that's going to change.
See, and this is why I'm completely okay if they get rid of the guy, because I'd rather someone just be open and honest with us. At least a little bit in that situation.
I agree. Yeah, no, I agree with that.
And no one's going to be 100%, and I get that, but he doesn't even protect himself. Like, he puts himself in this situation.
Because I don't think I don't think he thinks he needs protection.
Okay. And that's great, but for the rest of our lives and for the rest of frickin' hockey history, this is going to be known as a complete failure at the end of these last 5 years.
It
is, though. It already is. We are already the joke of the league. Okay. No, I'm telling you the running joke. I see it every day.
I'm just telling you what the rest of the league, like outside of Twitter, when you go to like actual hockey people and analysts and all these things, I'm going to tell you how this is.
I listen to them, John.
I'm going to tell you how this is going to be remembered this whole tenure. it's going to be the second most successful GM ship in the Islanders history.
That's really
that-
like that.
And the bar is so low that it
I
doesn't
know
even
the
matter.
bar is low. I'm not saying the bar is not low, but he's going to be looked at positively, whether everybody likes it or not.
I'm just saying, you guys know I listen to PDO Cast. I listen to Morning Cup of Hockey. Sometimes I listen to some of like TSN is a little biased. I know that's not really like the best thing to listen to, but I listen to like some of these guys around the league, and they don't always say it out loud, but most people think the game's passed him by. I mean, I'm just being honest, and I mean, like,
it's not a question. It has.
yeah.
It
I
has.
To an
agree.
extent.
We are playing dinosaur hockey,
Yeah, we are.
and he is employing dinosaur methods to do dinosaur things, while the rest of the league,
It's a lot of dinosaurs.
like, actually does stuff. And look, I don't want to.
I
Like,
wouldn't
I
say
like
the
to
rest
think-
of the league.
I
Eric.
There are a lot more. There are a lot less
Hold on.
successful GMs out there.
I have
Let
been a
Eric finish.
proponent.
Let Eric finish.
I have been a proponent of, and I've talked about it on this podcast, of Lou is very clearly trying over the first couple years of this to just have consistency in the roster. Like, have this team together consistently. Like, there's not a ton of turnover. It's about having these players play together. But when you constantly underperform, okay, you have to do something. Like,
Yeah.
I don't really think he sees making the playoffs
like
and
he
losing
never
in the
has
first
scored.
round as underperforming.
Well, that's a
From
problem.
what we want to do, like miss playoffs, first round exit.
All right, so
Absolutely. Are we going to make the playoffs with like 88 points this season?
I already have trivia.
That shouldn't fucking count.
I think one of the problems is that for 2/3 of the league, a successful season, like full on, no argument success, is making the playoffs. That's it. That's the.
But
bar.
it depends.
There's
It depends
5
where your
teams
team
in the,
is.
I would say there's 5 to 10 teams in the entire league that are actually competing for a cup, and realistically, there's 5.
For the team with the 6th longest Stanley Cup drought, that
Success
cannot be
is making the
the
playoffs.
goal.
No,
It
no,
is.
John.
I'm telling
John,
you,
can-
it is.
Okay, but John, can you look at it from a perspective of that? It depends how far along your team is into a. I don't know the way to word it. Like, basically, how far along is your team to be? Being able to. How far along is your team to being complete? You look at a
I
team like
think-
the Red Wings. By this point, you're like, okay, we're borderline rebuild again because it just hasn't worked. You look at a team like
No,
Ottawa.
I think that Red Wings team is going to spend the next 5 years going, okay, let's try to make it work, because they spent like 25 years before this competing to make the playoffs every year. Yeah, they won cups in the 90s and early 2000s, but for a long time after that, they basically were, did we make the playoffs? Sweet. All hands on deck. Let's go. Move forward.
But my argument is you have like different sections of teams. You have the contenders, you have the rebuilders at the very bottom, you have the teams in the middle that are deciding what's the age of our group, should I keep going? What's you have the teams that are a little bit younger than us that are going to make the playoffs or trying to, and that's a success. And then you have us that is in a contention window. We are in a contention window, and we're not contenders.
Let's use the Winnipeg Jets as an example. Okay,
I'd love to.
they have made They've made the Western Conference Finals once with this core. This core is all older. This core is all significantly veterans now at this stage. Scheifele, Connor, Hellebuck, everyone is in, going through, or past their prime. Why have they stuck it out for this long without any kind of success? The answer is because they're a good team.
Yes.
It's
What are
not
the Islanders?
always it's not always did you make the Stanley Cup Finals? Did you go on a deep run? It's, do you believe in the group of guys that you have?
I also
And Lou does.
counter to that. Where does Winnipeg finish in the regular season, though?
Does that matter?
100%. 100%. If you
I
are
don't
not
think so.
finished, Okay, well, you don't have to, but if you're not doing well in the regular season and you are an extremely inconsistent team, you really have to make tough decisions. That's why teams like Boston above us, who has more points at
But
the
this
time,
is
have more
okay.
points.
This is what I was. All right. So this is part of what I was saying before, in that a lot of teams see making the playoffs as a successful season. Do you see getting 110 points or 105 points and losing in the first round as a success?
Of course not, but it depends.
There you go.
But if your team is constantly just trying to fight to make a wild card spot, I think there should be like a red light going off. Like we got problems. We got problems.
If you're fighting that hard to get into the playoffs, you're probably doing yourself a disservice in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's what it's felt like the last 2 seasons.
And the Islanders' results match that. They match that.
We got into the playoffs and we were out of gas. Like there was, and also we got matched up with Carolina, who was just a buzzsaw for us. But like,
That's the thing
I
with the
agree
team.
with that. Yeah.
John, you're right.
I think you're right.
You're right about Winnipeg, but Winnipeg is a team that can hey, we're 14-1. The Islanders can't do that. The Islanders have
Well,
no
let's go
ability
with
to do
Toronto
that.
then. Has Toronto
Okay, another
the
team.
25-year cup drought, playoff
mentioned-
drought? Has that
mentioned
been a success?
You mentioned another team that has a core of superstars that's really hard to break up. The Islanders do not have players at that talent level.
It's very easy to break up that core. Are you kidding me?
No, my point is that the Islanders are not on the same sort of talent level as those teams. So when you're stuck
they
in
have
tough
the same results. So why does it matter?
it's definitely a way to look at it. But if you're finishing top 2 in the division every year, top 3 in the division every year, I think it's different. I don't think it's the same as fighting for a wild card spot.
All right. Who do you trust more in the playoffs? The Islanders or the Maple Leafs? Because I know my answer.
Last 3 years, it would be the Leafs. I think they've had some unfortunate luck. 100%.
I don't think it's unfortunate luck.
Oh, I don't think the Islanders have been unfortunate in their series. I think they lost to the better team. I don't think the Leafs have always been.
I think the Islanders did lose to the better team, but I think the Leafs also lost to the more prepared team.
And it's weird because the year that they won a round, which I think was against Tampa, if I'm not mistaken, they were actually the worst team in that round, in my opinion. But the next round, I forgot who they played, but I thought they were the better team, and they lost. I forgot who that was, though.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Can I just read a tweet?
Boston, maybe? I don't know. What's up?
Probably. That sounds about right.
So Andy Francis, who
great tweet. I've seen it.
I have been online with since every take he's had. Just said Pasternak in his prime, Swayman's in his prime, McAvoy's in his prime. Even if you don't rebuild, all those assets they just attained can now be used to get the exact pieces they desire, not desperately hope that holding on to Charlie Coyle and Brandon Carlo was the answer, which is exactly what the naysayers think.
Lou has a lot to prove to us this offseason, and you're right, Eric.
I would love you to ask Boston fans how they feel about that tweet.
Well, they're going to be mad now. They might not be mad later.
They'd be mad.
They absolutely would.
They'd be mad because they're fucking spoiled.
Yes.
No.
It's 100% part of it.
Who we've been Bruins
fans are. We haven't won a cup in 10 years. We haven't won a cup in 10 years. How dare Sweeney?
Yeah. Who have been dealing with Brady and the Red Sox. Every freaking one of their teams wins.
Oh my God!
Okay.
You're right. They are very spoiled, John.
The Red Sox went through a 100+ year World Series drought.
The desperate for anybody to want to come to Long Island and play for us. Instead, we're celebrating Anthony Duclair.
John, you know what Bruins fans are with the graphics card shortage issue that I have a 3080 Ti right now, and maybe I'm a little spoiled, but the Bruins fans are people with 4090s right now who are like, I can't get a 5090. I'm so upset. That's exactly what Bruins fans are. They have the second best graphics on the market, and they're like, I can't get a 5090. This is so stupid.
It's just the Bruins fans complaining about it
is hilarious
because they're spoiled.
Yeah. 100%.
I'm sorry. That's it. But the same argument applies. The Islanders have building blocks. Like they have blocks that like
We
are
literally
actually
said
good.
10 minutes ago the Bruins have nothing. They should absolutely rebuild.
I mean, I was gonna say Swayman is there, but look,
Bro,
Yeah, I kind of Yeah, no, I do agree that honestly McAvoy, Pasternak. Honestly, I don't know if I like that much though. It's interesting
it's
because
not a good core.
it's not a 1-to-1 comp. But
Okay.
here's the thing: the argument is even
hot
better
take.
as it
We don't
applies
have a
to
good
us.
core.
The
I don't think our core
argument
is that
better.
special.
I think the core is fine. I don't think the core is like
We can
I don't
make
think the core's
arguments.
great.
both
I think it's
ways.
fine.
Here's the problem. Barzell's
It's
gotten
workable.
hurt a lot lately. I hope he can come back and be as good as we know he can be. Sorokin's off back surgery. I hope Sorokin can be. Listen, I defend him all the time, but I
Not
don't
like
think
we're not
he's
leaning
been.
hard on him this season.
Yeah, no. Listen, I know Sorokin hasn't been at the level he needs to be at. I still think he's not as far apart as people think, though. I think it comes down to the fact that he's played more games than anyone besides Hellebuck in the last 2 seasons, and then you watch Hellebuck run out of steam in the first round every single damn year. So I'm not surprised. And everyone's like, oh, you got to play 20 games in the playoffs. Okay, but that goalie plays 120 games in the regular season. So I don't know what people expect when the playoffs come around. He's freaking tired. But my point is, if Sorokin can get back to the level we know he can play, and that comes with the team being.
Oh,
My mic cut off.
out. No, Mike.
Wah, wah.
Quick, let's talk about
Bitch. Yeah, we still can't hear you.
Did you kick something? How would that happen?
Sorry, folks. Technical difficulties. But yeah, now that
You wanna
Mike
edit
can't
this
talk,
out?
I can talk over him. Boston sucks. No, I'm just kidding.
But like the point remains, it's more applicable to us. There's more pieces. Romanoff, Dobson.
Listen, I'm not gonna say we shouldn't retool because I think we should. I'm not arguing that. My argument was more so that I don't think the market was there, and it doesn't make sense to trade for people for no reason.
The mic has a mute button on the back. I didn't know that.
No!
It's touch. Oh, that's a neat feature. All right, but no, let me just clarify here. Like I said, not everyone's into analytics, which is fine. But like I said, like John says, I had a lot of confirmation bias when it came out in the analytics that the Islanders have not only been a dumpster fire offensively, but they're a dumpster fire defensively as well. Almost every single private, source that the NHL pays for says we suck. We're awful. And that's where we get back to Eric calls it dinosaur hockey. I call it caveman hockey. They play a lot of dumping.
They do play a neutral trap style. Yeah, you're right. It's boring.
But they're not good at it either. So I don't know what the solution
They were
is.
at one point.
I agree. And a lot of people come out and listen, I know, like I said, people aren't into analytics, that's fine. But someone like Jay Fresh comes out and says, listen, from what I've watched, from what I'm seeing in the data, the Islanders have not been a good defensive team in like 5 years. It's like at this point, it's not coaching. Like their guys are stale. A lot of these guys are older, injured, not as good. Talking about like Pulak, you know what I mean? Who else? Pelech and Dobson all took steps back defensively, even though Pelech's still really good, and I do like him. There's got to be some sort of internal change, and I hope Lou, when he talks about getting younger, he talks about the blue line, because I have not had as much fun watching this team as when we brought in D'Angelo, Boqvist, and Perunovic, and those are depth guys. Those are depth guys, and they gave us the most fun Islanders hockey we've had in a long time.
Yeah,
because I think Raw's system is trying to get some speed and talent out of these guys, and it's just not there for a lot of them.
There's another part of the problem.
Yeah.
When you're recruiting players for dinosaur hockey, you don't select for things like that.
I know.
And
I agree.
And it's clear that we don't.
I mean,
yeah, no, I'm not arguing that.
All right. Well, I'll follow up with
I think your core is fast and can play progressive style of hockey.
Yeah, no, Horvat, Barzell, Sorokin.
Sorokin, Romanov, Horvat. They can all play that style of hockey.
I agree.
We'll see what they do, but I like I said, I want to defend Sorokin because I think that's where my mic muted. Is that listen? A lot of people have been hard on him. I'm not disagreeing with people where they say he's inconsistent. I just think he's got. I think he's got a lot more in him. And if you don't believe that, I can understand why you'd want to rebuild because that is your big piece. So I mean, if you're
fine, that's fair. Fair.
All right.
Yeah. So here we go. Next quote. Marcus Hogberg is day to day. Don't think Semyon Varlamov will be able to return this season, which I already know.
That's kind of a nothing burger. I don't know.
He's not sure whether Barzell will make it back.
The president of the Marcus Hogberg fan.
Yeah.
I mean that's unfortunate, but I don't think they were planning on making I don't think they were going to go on a run this year anyway. If Barzell comes back, they're really not going to.
This kind of further
would have been a nice piece to move.
That's what I was just going to get into. Is listen. He is a starting goalie in this league, but God, he's the exact type of piece they should have moved a year or two ago.
Well, he's better than
I agree.
I agree. Starting goalie. He's the kind of guy who can just come in for one game and doesn't have to have 3 games in a row to get hot, and he can just steal you one on the right night. And
he's a really good starting goalie. No, he always has been, but that's why I don't understand why the Islanders made
it's a luxury that we can't afford.
For all
100%. Not with the way the team's built. You can't afford paying 2 goalies. No, not at all.
But for all the kvetching I do about weird contracts he's handed out, the Varlamov one was made absolutely sense. It still does.
No, the VAR. So I try to be very positive about all of this stuff. I can't defend the Varlamov contract because you're paying somebody starter money to not start.
Well, isn't he 2.75? I mean, that's not starter money.
He's not making starter money. He's not.
But still,
that's not backup money.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem is they paid him.
It's not backup money. It's starter money. It's when starter money, but it's starter money.
Investing over $10 million in your goalie tandem feels
silly.
Yeah.
Especially when guys were out in the market like Dylan Strome that you could have gotten maybe, and you paid Varlamov. I mean, listen, it's whatever, but we can move on. I'm just saying that was definitely, and my Engvall obviously contract defending has gone in the toilet, and part of that is Roy not playing him. The other part is the guy just doesn't look like he cares. So he's a tough one, John. I always talk about care versus he plays a very.
I think that's part of why he hasn't been playing him. I think at first it was that whole I'm going to make you better by motivating you shit. Waz is a very passionate guy, and when he sees Engvall is not passionate, it pisses him the fuck off, and he's like, no, I'm going to make you give a shit about this. And so he tried to light a fire under him, and when that didn't work, he was like, all right, I can't work with this guy.
Yeah,
which sucks.
Yeah, but then Engvall would have good games, and he'd scratch him anyways.
Yeah, that was tough. It was a weird.
Yeah, that's true.
My argument still, though, Eric, is and I know he's only a $3 million forward, but I want to see you come out like Fashing did those years ago and make a statement in the minutes you do. And there are games, man, where he is no better than a 4th line forward on the Senators. I mean, that's just
cardio merchant.
Yeah, it is. Literally, this season, that is what I would define him as, unfortunately. But whatever. All right, we can move on to the next one, which is more exciting. Lamoriello, very excited about Richie, acquired for Nelson, said this will not burn the season on his ELC for him this season, although I don't think he's even eligible to come back anyway because he already played in the NHL this year.
He's not going to
I don't think he's eligible anyway, is what I was explaining. And after his junior season ends, he will come and be around the team. He'll attend development camp and training camp. I think the plan next season should be, I'm being dead serious here, is move out JGP and have him come in as the 3C.
I don't think he's playing full time next season. I think he gets the rookie 10. I don't think he plays full time.
Back at 2C.
If you're able to move JGP's full money and you move Nelson's full money, Eric, you got to go big game hunting.
I don't know that it's in the. I don't know that it works out in terms of the money. It all depends on who you sign. And I actually have a spreadsheet up that I would like to go over with you guys. If you don't care about the time. I mean,
we'll be down after the quotes. Down for that?
All right. Give me you guys talk. I'll be back in 2 minutes.
All right. I'm shocked I'm shocked John doesn't think Richie's going to be a full-time NHLer next season. Everything that I've read on Hey, you're not supposed to be here.
I mean,
development.
I don't want him going within 30 miles of Bridgeport.
Yeah, exactly. I want him in the NHL.
And, like,
dude,
figure out what the hell's going on up there.
You want a way to excite the fan base next season? Bring in a top 20, top 30 prospect on the NHL team who looks NHL. Dude, if he didn't look NHL ready, the Avs wouldn't have tried him this season. The Avs are so deep.
Oh yeah, I agree. Yeah. And absolutely, that is a very good point. Like that.
Yeah.
He cracked a tryout on that team.
Yeah.
Is a testament to his ability. I don't know. I also think. I mean, you've got a lot of college guys who could probably end up here next year. Like, and it's a question of who's going to be here, who's going to be there, and my assumption, my honest assumption, is that is what Lou is talking about. There's not anybody coming from outside. He's talking about promotion from within. And I'm assuming he's talking about giving these college guys, Finley, Yzerman, Nelson, Richie, like true blue shots at the roster. Mostly because that's all we have money for.
My assessment is actually going to be pretty interesting because we'll talk about it more when we get closer to the offseason. I don't think any of our prospects play in the NHL next season besides Richie.
But that's the other thing. So it's like, how do you reconcile Lou saying we're going to get younger with that being the only way against Lou being somebody who lets prospects marinate in the AHL and the ECHL and whatever forever?
We're going to have to see, but I don't think Lou, and especially if you do believe like John, he's more of a conservative GM. I don't think you make that move for Richie unless you see him in an NHL jersey next season. Because otherwise, I mean, you're probably losing that deal. And I agree with Lou if that's his viewpoint, because this guy is ranked so high and he's killing it back in the OHL again. He's been killing it since he was drafted. I mean, I'd be shocked if he's
the old Oshawa Generals.
Well, if we're being fair about Dal Cole, he played a lot of NHL games. I mean, even if he wasn't good, I mean, if Richie's playing that many games, it's a success. In terms of a trade to get a guy in an NHL jersey, you've done it.
God, it has to be better than that.
Well, it will be, because this guy is way more talented than Dal Cole was. You got to understand, after Dal Cole was drafted, his stock started plummeting like crazy, because he wasn't producing
2 points per game in his
when he was drafted,
which is more than Richie is producing right now.
Yep. I'm just saying.
FYI.
I don't think they're the same players, because Richie's not.
I honestly don't either. I think.
Well, if you remember, Dal Cole's best trait was this guy can snipe. But the problem is, when you get to the NHL level, you lose those sort of spots you're sniping from in juniors. So it's what's interesting to me about Richie. First of all, he's good at everything. I mean, his biggest thing is he's not an elite skater, but the guy is elite in everything else. So I mean, I think that translates a lot better to the NHL, and I think he's pretty big. Is he not? Is he like 6'4" or something?
No,
am I wrong on that? That's still pretty big. I thought he was a pretty big kid. Okay. I mean,
Danny Nelson is pretty tall.
Yeah, I mean, but he's NHL sized is my point. He's not someone that's going to take a little bit longer. He has to put on some weight, but
I mean, honestly, I think it's more likely we see Danny Nelson.
I don't think so.
No?
But I mean, no. But I guess we'll see. I mean, no, I could be wrong. I mean, I don't know. Prospects are weird.
Then he is more NHL sized. Like, all the articles I read talked about Richie being over 200 pounds by next year and ready for the NHL. Nelson is bigger than that now.
No, I get that, but Nelson's ceiling and floor seems a lot lower. But I mean, really? he didn't even make the top 100 for mid-season prospects.
Yeah.
Whereas Yzerman was right around where Richie is.
Huh? Really?
Yeah. The thing with Yzerman, his ceiling is massive.
I know you're huge. You're very, very high on Yzerman. I am cautiously optimistic, but
you have to be, because his floor is lower than a Danny Nelson. He might be a fourth liner.
Here's my thing. Yes, he scores at that level.
He scores at every level. That's what's so. He scores at every level. That's why he's so enticing.
But none of the scoring he does, at least that I have witnessed, is like created by his skill set.
That goal in the World Juniors was fascinating. When he pulled it around the defenseman and sniped it, I was like, I didn't think he had hands like that. Like, this isn't. That's what makes him fascinating for me. Is if he's going to do that at the NHL level, he's going to score a lot of goals.
I think he's too small and not a good enough skater to do that at the NHL level.
We're going to have to see. My favorite part of Cole Yzerman, if you're an Islanders fan, and even if you're just a casual Islanders fan, he shoots everything.
Yeah.
The puck hits his stick and it's on net. I mean, we've been waiting for that. I'm tired of the Simon Holmstroms and Josh Baileys and Maxim Soplakovs who get 12 shots a season. I can't do it. I can't do it, man. They miss the net or they don't shoot. Give me Cole Yzerman. Give me 50 pucks on net a game. I'm good.
I don't know if you're watching, but the entire first minute of the game has been spent in the Islanders zone.
Okay, so I know we're 50 minutes into the pod, and I didn't say it in the beginning. I'm taking a Twitter break. I don't have the app on my phone, and I am not probably watching the rest of this season. I have no interest. No interest.
I deleted the app from my phone. About a year ago.
Yep.
And I re-uploaded it just for this deadline because I was like, this is the only way. And I was like, I knew I was going to be on it all day.
Yeah.
And I'm about to delete it.
I think I need a break from the team, and I don't think it makes anyone less of a fan if they're doing it as well, because I was not happy with the deadline, and I'm telling Lou, put his money where his mouth is.
Yeah.
Show me in the offseason that you want me to care. Because listen, listen, the team needs direction. The only thing that's worse than mediocrity is no direction. You might as well fold the franchise if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
It's just so stagnant right now. Who was it that said, was it Andy Francis that said stale bread? It's like stale bread.
It's so funny because you have all the sycophants on Twitter, and then Andy comes out and is like, bam, I watched the rest of the league. The Islanders freaking suck.
Yeah.
It's like, good to hear it from someone who doesn't just watch one team. Because it's really annoying. A lot of the fans that are like, Lou can do no wrong, it's because they only watch the Islanders. They don't pay attention to the rest of the league. They don't pay attention to the fact that we're the laughing stock. I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that again.
Even if you just watch the Islanders, watch them play against the teams that are good.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't look like they're playing the same game.
No, they don't. And I don't understand it, dude. Eric, it blows my mind. And I call it caveman hockey. That's been my quote this year. Is this team is just... They're like unwatchable without Barzell.
Yeah.
Oh my God, are they bad? And that's why. And then people get mad when the private analytics say we suck ass. Like, are you watching this team? Like, do you think they're good because they scored 7 on Nashville? Was that your Stanley Cup? I don't.
Moments, but you know what? Can I share?
Eric, they have moments because Brock Nelson scored or Paul Mary scored. It's the same freaking thing every other night when they.
Can you see my screen?
No, the sharing thing doesn't really work on here, and I hope John comes back soon because I don't want to record for an hour and 50 minutes. I want to get this over with in like half an hour if we can. This has been a really good productive pod, though. I think people listening are going to obviously.
Can you click on the bottom left?
No, John's in charge of that.
So like, okay, so you know what? I'll stop sharing and we'll run down this. So like, okay.
Well, you want me to finish the quotes, right?
All right. Palmieri, Martin, Fashing, Riley, D'Angelo, Scarrick. I have that we don't re-sign Fashing or Riley. I have Palmieri at $3 million.
Yeah, it should be 3.5, probably 3.5, 4.
You probably does Martin sign again for like a really cheap contract?
If John, Marner's here, he does.
Let me share my screen.
What is that?
Can I share my screen?
Yeah, how would you do that?
Oh. Did that do it?
No, it doesn't work. We've tried it before. I don't know why it doesn't work though.
Yeah, hold on. I think that did it.
Oh, you got it. What the heck?
Okay.
I didn't know you could do that.
All right. So all right. I don't know if these are conservative, liberal, whatever.
Yeah, it's too low on Palmieri though. He's going to get 3.5, 4 more than likely.
All right, so let's put.
They
three,
said he's going to get less than he's making right now, so I think probably about 3.5.
Okay, so let's
Yeah.
say 3.5. Martin. I mean, you can put an effective 0 because he'd be
What?
buried.
In the thing. Mm-hmm.
D'Angelo,
Mm-hmm.
1.5,
Yeah, seems fair.
and Scarrick to 1, and maybe buried in Bridgeport, which is an effective 0.
Yeah.
Siplikov,
It's 2.5, 3.
okay. Do we want to put 3? Here's the thing: Siplikov's older, but Holmstrom's numbers are better.
Are we going to say Sippy 2?
You think 2 million?
What do you guys think? I think 3.
I think 3.
What about Holmstrom? 2.5?
No, probably 3.5.
I'd say probably 3 as well.
Gackham, Dobson,
Dobson's going to get like 7.
7.5.
that's what I have, man.
Roughly.
Okay, let's say 7.5. Oh, that's 75.
Yeah,
Now
75
we're
million.
definitely over. Hold on.
Now we're to baseball contract.
Romanov.
5.
All right, we'll take 5. Perinovich, Bachwist, if we sign either of them.
Yeah.
I think we might keep Perunovic for or like one of the two for league min and bury the other one if we can keep him.
You think Perinovich is going to sign for less than he's making now?
What's he making now?
It's right here.
I can't see it. I'm sorry.
This is their current salary.
I know. I'm working off
He
a
can't
very
see
small
it.
screen.
He zoomed in.
All right. Perinovich is making 1.15.
All right. Yeah, I think he's still going to be making 1.
Yeah, no, I get it. So your point is that they're going to have like 2 mil after the signings, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's my take, Eric. I think, and we can get more into this in the offseason, but I think they move off of Pulak and Pajot, and I think they don't have to retain anything.
And how much draft capital is that going to take?
I don't think anything. I think some teams are going to want them. 100%.
I think it's going to be a free asset, but yeah, I don't think you're going to have to spend draft capital to move them.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, no. My assumption with Lou, and this goes back to the deadline, and Pulak and
What's that?
Pajot, which is a combined about 11 mil
11.
if you want to just rough it out.
So that gives us 12.9.
Yeah. It's a lot of money. And did that go into the but you were keeping guys that I'm not even sure they're going to. But also the cap's going up, Eric, too, by like 6 or 7 mil, I think, right?
That included the cap increase.
Oh, it did.
It looks like. Sorry, I shouldn't have shut it down. That's not it. The estimated cap space for next year before signings
It's
with the
95,
increased
right?
cap is a little under 29 million.
Yeah.
Shots are currently 9-1 San Jose.
Yeah. I mean, we don't need to talk about the game. Let me get this last quote real quick. Gross asked Lamorello whether it was the years, because it's the last quote, years of the AAV that Brock Nelson didn't accept. And he decided not to get into specifics, which is fine. But he says he felt Nelson wanted to stay, which I thought was a weird quote. If he
I
wanted
think
to
he's
stay,
trying to make Nelson look good.
Yeah, which I'm fine with.
It's fair.
I didn't know how to interpret that. I thought that was him defending himself, saying, "Hey, I didn't go too many years."
No, I think he's trying to make his guy look good because that's his guy, and he wants him. He's like clearly a player's GM.
Yeah.
All right,
For all the good that has done us.
I thought that would
He's great at making guys who are already here stay by giving them more money. I'll tell you that.
I just wanted to end the quotes for you guys, so we have everything done. You guys got to talk over all of it with me. It took like an hour to get through that, which was good, but there were a lot of arguments back and forth. Like I said when John wasn't here, though, I think the problem is that a lot of people think this team's good, and I just don't see it. I don't see it anymore. As currently constructed, let me be fair here. If you make 3-4 changes, who knows how the team looks? They've already made one.
We thought this team was good before the season started, and they weren't.
Well, define good, because I said we would be fourth. We'd be wild card.
We all had them as a playoff team.
Well, I guess, but to me that I thought they were slightly above average, and I understand. I think they still would be too if the injuries didn't decimate them this season.
See, that's the second part of where I'm going to give pushback on your. I think a lot of people think they're good. I think they are okay to good. I don't think they're contender status, but I think if you were to put a hard line in the sand and say there's 15 good teams and 16 good teams and 16 bad teams, well, they'd be right on the line of good.
So, John, let me throw you a caveat here, though. Where would you rank the Islanders if they had? Now, I don't know the correct way to say this. Let me specify before you answer. Where do you think the Islanders would be if they just had league average goaltending?
Like 20th to 25th.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And someone's going to say or listen to this potentially and say, hey, the Islanders have league average goaltending. They're ranked like 15th or 16th in the league in save percentage. And my response to that is, yeah, but that's with the last place penalty kill. So it's actually phenomenal.
Which has ironically been first place for the last few months.
And even with that, they're still like second or third to last.
Oh, I know.
Exactly how bad it was.
It was dreadful for a long time.
So hear me out. You have a team that's top 10 in 5v5 save percentage, league average in all strengths save percentage, and they can't score and they can't defend. Well, I don't think we're a good team anymore. I'm at the point where Brock going out is good start, but I need to see 3 to 4 new faces. And if they're still not good, at least you tried. Different.
I didn't realize that Anders Lee.
No, I'm fine with 3 to 4 new faces.
I mean, you have to. Because listen, and different may not be better, but listen, if you want to maximize the goaltending you have, you cannot keep running the same stuff out. Like, it's just not going to work. It hasn't worked. Hasn't worked.
I don't really think it's fair to say that this team can't do anything right, but I think if you're trying to say that you're trying to build a contender, you're lying to yourself. You're not. And the only way you can start to do that is by bringing in, like you said, 3 to 4 new faces.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's what I meant. I thought you meant you would be a contender if you kept your JGPs and your Anders Lees. And I think Anders Lee this year has been part of what you would have on a contender. He's been good. Sometimes amazing.
He's what you would have hoped
for
players
$7 million
would turn into when they get older.
Yes, if everyone was playing like him this year, we would be a great team. 100%. Yeah. That is credit to him, because last year I thought he was dead in the water. But the problem is those are the types of guys you got to move on from, because this is their height. Like, Pajot's playing well. Lee is playing well, well. These guys that are older are playing well. You have to basically flip the switch.
So when you talk about value, this is as valuable as they're going to get.
This is peak at mid-30s value, where you probably won't be paying anything to move them.
Yeah.
I agree if you can find value for them. If you can't find value for them, then I have no problem with saying we'll give it a shot later in the summer.
And we can push this off into and Eric, you went over your spreadsheet already, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just wanted, like I said, we can have a few more points from you guys, but I wanted to end it with, I don't think Barzal, Dobson, Sorokin, Horvat is a contending core. I don't think it is. But you change my mind and you make them top 5, top 10, potentially top 5 if you're adding a Nick Ehlers, a Mitch Marner, obviously not Mikko Rantanen anymore, but a David Pastrnak, as we spoke to before. I think things change drastically if you're adding in a Calum Ritchie. Maybe you get another guy like Romanov and Dobson out of this. I think I think they do have a chance to be a dark horse contender if you add a piece like that. So that's my positive. But as currently constructed, this core is just, even the strengths of the core is just league average. It's not a cup contending core right now. It's my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I'll go one further. I think right now they are probably, as far as core 5 guys are constructed, they are mid-tier core, like B minus C plus core. But I
like
think
15, 16, right there.
Yeah, right in the middle. But
yeah.
I think if you add like a Marner or an Ehlers, that's not going to be enough to bring it up to a top 5 core at all. It's going to make it like a top of the top 10, maybe. I think if you need to, if you are an incoming GM and your plan is to do a New York Rangers style quick speed run retool, we're going to bring in 3 guys. They're going to be great. The team's going to be great. You need at least 3 very good players.
And
if
my
you're
point is
good, you need 5.
What would make the Islanders a dark horse is goaltending. If Sorokin can get back to what he is, and if Hogberg is truly as good as what we've seen, they are a top 3, top 5 goaltending team. The second thing is they don't have too much money tied up into the core, in my opinion. No guy is we'll have one guy over 10 mil potentially if we sign that big free agent or we make that big trade for a Pastrnak. Sure. You'll have that guy, but they don't have guys that are too expensive, so you can spend a little bit more in depth. And the third thing that they don't have that they started with the trade deadline, that's why me and Eric are so mad, is Calum Ritchie is the type of player you push into the lineup that would make you a dark horse contender. You have young, affordable, cheap talent. You know, that's the thing they're missing.
I think he's the kind of player that, like, contending teams have, but I think contending teams have 4 of those guys.
Yes, but okay, let me make the argument that Holmstrom, Siplakov, Calum Ritchie, add one more to give me the 4 horsemen. What do you mean? No,
I would not say Holmstrom and Siplakov are part of that 4. They're not good enough to be part of that 4. I think they are
George
good.
Is interesting.
They're not like a Calum Ritchie is like a B plus A minus tier prospect. We just scored.
Great.
Sippy, it's Duclair. Sippy and Holmstrom are like B minus. They're like a step below.
And I understand they're not the Dallas Stars. They're not, and I agree with you. But I expect Holmstrom and Siplakov to make big jumps next season. I think they've shown that they have the potential to. That is, if you're being an optimistic fan and they added a Mitch Marner or they added a David Pastrnak or even, like I said, I think Ehlers would actually, funny enough, be the best piece out of those 3 because now you have Barzal on one line and you have Ehlers on one line, and that would give teams fits the entire game. I think they'd have a very interesting identity. But if you were to add one of those pieces, now we can talk about a good retool. Hey, now it's worth going for it. But if they're not going to add that piece, I'm moving closer to rebuild. I'm just saying.
Fair.
Well,
none of those guys are going here.
I don't think those guys are coming here either. But I think they're gonna find at least 2 or 3 solid players. They're not going to be all stars, but they're going to find 2 or 3 good hockey players.
Roster of solid players.
That's the Carolina Hurricanes way.
Or not, but Pulock's wearing an A tonight.
What's that?
I said I don't know if this bursts your bubble or not, but Pulock is wearing an A tonight.
That's nice.
That's an A for ass.
Yeah.
Well,
A for at least he tried.
Listen, if you're an optimistic fan, though, like I said, the doomsday for me is they don't get that this offseason. But Eric, if that's the case, continue the retool because Kaprizov will be on the market next offseason, and you've got Sorokin, Romanov, Siplakov. We have all these Russian players.
Help is not coming from the outside.
Listen, you have to believe.
Help is coming from the outside in a different way. They're not going to get that all-star caliber player, but you can build a good roster with good hockey players.
I've
just
had
saying,
good rosters. We've
how-
had good rosters. Like what don't you get about me not wanting a good roster?
Okay, well,
We
how,
don't. We have not had a good roster.
And the answer is, if the answer is we're never going to have a contending roster, then what the fuck are we doing here?
well, no, well, that's what I'm saying. You have to believe. You have to believe that we're going to be a destination, because if you don't, I don't know why you're wasting your
We're
time.
not. No, we're not. No, they believe nothing. We're not a destination.
But did we
What
just
are
ignore?
25 of the 32 hockey teams in the league doing?
What?
But Duclair came here. How do you ignore that? Like, Duclair was one of the top free agents that offseason.
Oh my god! Just
I'm
massive
not
dream.
even. I'm
Massive,
not even
massive
arguing
dream.
that. You should not be. Your focus, like, okay, it's good to want all stars. Your focus should not be to try to sign all stars all the time. If you can get one, great. Your focus is to build a good roster.
100%. But I'm just
The
saying.
Hurricanes are doing things the right way, and yeah, I'm kind of annoyed if I was a Canes fan that they never like put their chips onto the table and be like, "Hey, man, we're trading all these good players. We're cashing in our good boy points and bringing in a
that's what I'm
superstar,"
saying.
because that's just not the way they do things. But they're perennially great.
No.
And my point is the Islanders could trade for a player like that too. I'm not saying you only have to sign them, but my
They're
point.
You could sign and trade for good hockey
They're-
players.
Have you seen the players that are on their team?
John, I'm just saying, if
They're
Ehlers goes,
And they
If-
can handle the puck.
if
Both.
Ehlers goes to
they're
market,
good, yeah.
if Ehlers were to go to the market, although I consider him a star, a lot of people do not. He would not be on the same level as signing a Rantanen or a Marner or who was the big
No,
free
he would
agent.
not. But 31 teams would be in high demand to get him.
Well, the teams that can afford him, of course. But yeah, I mean, I'm not saying. And well, I'll put it to you like this, though. I think the Islanders are going to push to have a lot of cap this offseason. I really do believe, if you're an optimist, that they're going to be moving out JGP and potentially Ryan Pulock because he'll have the NTC up. You're going to have enough money to pay him as much as he wants. So I do believe that should be one of the offseason plans. One of them.
I think that they're going to. I think they're not going to get a star player this offseason. But the thing that gives me hope is I think they're going to get 2 to 3 good hockey players who play progressive, forward-thinking hockey, who are going to be fast and smart with the puck and will have offensive skill. They're not going to be a Marner or an Ehlers or anyone to that caliber, but they're going to be good.
Where are you dreaming these people up from?
I don't know what you're talking about.
There's like 10.
With the puck is
Bro,
not really in our system.
there's like 10 people in free agency every year that are solid.
I'm just saying though, I don't think Duclair comes here 10 years ago. I really honestly believe that. This was a guy
because of Patrick Waugh.
But I still believe that
he literally did. His name was Brad Boyce. Didn't work out then either. Like, what do you want?
Yeah, I don't know. In my opinion, Duclair was
Parento, which actually Parento was probably a little bit better than Duclair. But like,
no, he wasn't. Lie. Yeah, it's a lie straight up. Duclair was a guy who scored 30 goals in this league. I mean, we're gonna just ignore that. And
Duclair would have been really good this year, but he got hampered by injuries, and he's still not healthy. He shouldn't be playing.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't even know why they didn't shut him down, to be honest. But my point is that if you don't believe we're able to get anyone, I don't know why you're wasting your time, because the Islanders have to try. I mean, you shouldn't just be like, oh, they didn't get this guy.
He's wasting his time because he's a lifer. They could be in 32nd place next year. He's going to be standing here complaining. Eric's not leaving. None of us are leaving.
That's not true. I just don't understand how
I would bet any amount of money.
Understand where their talent, where their actual top end talent has to come from.
I agree. No, I get what you're saying 100%. What I'm saying is none of us are leaving. We're lifers. We're sitting here doing a podcast.
And I'm already.
We're lifers.
I already told you though.
We're going to be doing a podcast and we're going to be complaining about how bad they are.
Sure, but I'm telling you guys, and when you were gone, John, I don't think you were here for that. I told Eric, I'm not watching the rest of the season. And listen, you're allowed to do whatever you want. If you want to watch the rest of the season, that's fine. For me, I need to see progressive change. I said the only thing worse than mediocrity, and I think this should stick with everyone, is not having a clear direction. That's the only thing worse than mediocrity. And you could say Lou has one, but this deadline was confusing for anybody. It was very, very confusing because it's under, like, from what we understand, he tried to sign him. Which makes, and then he comes out and says we need to get younger.
Well, that's just it. I think he has a specific direction, and that direction was A, wrong, and B, compromised.
Here's the look at this. Isles Fix retweeted Ethan Sears with the there will be change this summer. Until there's change, you can't say how much, but I can assure you there will be change. Lou at the end of last summer. We will make whatever changes are necessary to get better. Are we satisfied where we are? Absolutely not. We'll make whatever changes that we're able to.
He didn't say they were looking to get younger next year.
Last
year.
It is the definition of pablum. It is.
He didn't say they were looking to get younger last year.
Because he's 82 years old, and nobody's going to fire him, apparently. And
all right. Well, if it makes you feel better, bird flu is on the rise. Lou will probably die soon.
Stop. No, it's terrible. The point I'm making,
his son will be GM.
No, but Eric, if we come back in the offseason and Lou doesn't do any of what he said, like I said, dude, I'm going to stand with you if you want to stand against the team or whatever. I'm for it. The team has to have a direction. If they don't have a direction, you and me both agree we're wasting our time. We're wasting our time. There's no reason to watch.
I hate to keep reading other people's tweets, but this was another Isles tweet. I was just looking for this one when I came across that other one. This is literally where I am at. At this stage, the arguments for and against the direction of the Islanders need to come from the starting point of how this team becomes a Stanley Cup contender, not what makes them better or worse next season.
They are not going to become a Stanley Cup contender within the next 3 to 4 years.
Then what the fuck are we doing? Blow it up. Because if Matt Barzal's 32 or 33 and we're doing the Brock Nelson dance again about where's he going and it's so sad to see him leave, I don't want to fucking see that.
100%. Then John, in my opinion, you gotta break the emergency, whatever it's called, the emergency glass, and get Lou out of here. You got to get Lou out of here.
I don't really think you do. I think the point of the hockey team is, I think that how the NHL is constructed, the purpose is not to be a Stanley Cup contender. The purpose is to improve, because the playoffs have so much variance in them that a lot of people who are not Stanley Cup contenders end up going to the Stanley Cup finals.
But clarify things here, John. Stand on your words and go after big pieces. If you do not do that.
Yeah. No. I think you should go after big pieces. I think it's unrealistic to think big pieces are fine.
Completely fine. I don't care if they
don't. Team better.
If I find out you did not try, I will not support the team. I will not support the team. Have a direction. Have a direction. Either suck or win. Find something. But if you're not doing, if he doesn't get younger this offseason, John, I'm not supporting the team anymore. I don't care if it makes me less of a fan. Stand on your words, or get rid of the guy. Get rid of the guy and bring someone in who's going to be like, I'm sorry this idiot lied to you for the last 4 years. I'm going to change shit up.
Here's the
that's where I get heated. If you're not going to give me direction, I'm not giving you a dime. I'm not giving you a dime.
Here's the other thing. And
that's why fans like Eric get mad, because if you don't have a direction, you are wasting everyone's time. You're wasting everyone's time.
This will be the absolute last thing I say on the topic. Okay. The answer is anybody with 2 eyes who has watched this team for the last 15 to 20 years understands. And like, maybe you held out hope that, okay, once the purse strings are unlatched and Garth can start to spend, maybe somebody will come here. Maybe once we build up a core, once we get guys like Barzal and Tavares on the same team at the same time, maybe then free agents will want to come here. Oh, maybe now we have a real GM and a real coach. Maybe then guys will want to come here. Okay, and we made 2 back-to-back ECFs. Maybe now guys will want to come here. Guess what? The answer at every stage of that process has been no. Okay? That means that's your answer right there. That means you need to build whatever value you're going to build through trades,
And the draft.
drafting,
Yeah.
development, it has to come from inside. And none of that is happening right now. Look at
And
the
what-
fucking AHL team. It's
And-
terrible.
And while sorry, Eric, just to cut you off real quick. Although I disagree with you about nobody wanting to come here, we can discuss how much a
Because
guy is
Anthony
good.
Duclair signed here.
He's
Woo-hoo.
Okay, we're gonna leave out Soplakov, who is the #1 European free agent.
Look, I will say that has been a success story. However,
I think
Can't
a
leave that
lot
out.
of listen. I think people would want to come here if we were a contending. If we looked like we were a contending hockey team.
we were a contending hockey team, and nobody wanted to come here.
We didn't have the money really.
We're
either,
not
to be
really
fair.
a contending hockey team that had money to bring people in at that point.
Yeah, we weren't we pretty close to the cap all those years too. Like
Yes.
It wasn't like they
The
had a
reason
lot
we
of
were a
room.
contending
After-
hockey team is because we couldn't afford to bring anybody else in.
Yeah, that was what we wanted though, Eric. We wanted them to spend money, and they did a good job doing that. I'm not gonna defend, but I will say everything you just said is so true. You have to if no one's coming here, Eric. Goodbye, 3 to 4 old players. Give me a direction and a reason to root for the team.
Which is
Give me a reason-
The deadline hurts so much.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Exactly.
don't agree with that.
Raw,
No.
that incremental value wherever
John.
you can.
John, if that's
No,
how
no.
you feel, John, we need to see his words need to come to fruition. That's it. That's all
Sure.
I'm asking. I will be a positive, happy Islanders fan who's going to listen. You guys can watch the Islanders if you want. I'm probably just going to ignore the rest of the season because I'm not happy with what I've seen. And hopefully, like I said, the same thing as if you're watching a TV show you love and the next 5 episodes blow, you're not going to continue watching it. I'm okay with getting to the next season. This season for me of my TV show, not worth it. Not worth it for me. They don't have
That's
anyone
fair.
I want to watch. And I still consider myself a diehard fan. I'm going to support, but I'm supporting what's good for the organization. And this guy needs to give them a direction. He just said what needs to happen. I'm glad he did because now we can hold him to his word. And if he does not follow up on that word, I hope the Fire Lou chants blow him out of the building. The end.
They will be.
That's all I
got
gotta say.
I can't.
I'm-
I haven't even decided.
I will go to games just to say it. I will go to games just to say it.
What's better at this point? Making the playoffs is like the 8th, the 8th seed, or
Doesn't even.
or
Nope.
missing badly and getting a better draft pick.
If they do not change this up,
Players
they will be mushy middle. I don't
Players
care about the
tank.
players. Oh, I don't care about the players. They don't have to tank. They look like they're tanking. That's part of the problem in some games. Is you have to get younger.
You know who never looks like he's tanking? Bo Horvat. That was a really good trade.
Yeah, it worked out really well for us. I'm not going to deny that.
And it feels like he's wasting away on the team now too.
Well, my gripes with him is that away from Barzell, I don't see enough. But like I said, that's my opinion. I'm sure other people will disagree, but that's fine. I mean, in my opinion, the goal, like I said, should be to get a guy like Ehlers so you can keep Horvat with Barzell and have Ehlers run that second line. Or you do the opposite. Maybe you have Barzell on the second line and Ehlers runs the first line. I mean, that should be the goal. Or a player like it. Doesn't have to be him.
If
And
they can,
Ehlers-
listen, if
Eric,
Ehlers is willing to come here and we're
They
willing
should.
to spend that kind of money, yes, absolutely.
And Pajot just scored too, it looks like. I was saying these guys are going to
Yes.
have value this offseason, and Lou has to stick to his word. That's saying I will support the team if the GM tells us the truth. It's that simple. I mean, it should be for every fan. You know,
The free agency is going to look like, they made the playoffs. They, despite the fact that we traded Broad, they still made the playoffs.
no one's going to go for that, Eric.
We're
They
going to
lost,
run it back again. These are the guys we want in the room.
they lost Brock. They're not going to be doing that. There's no way you hear that. It's different. That's why I was so happy when he was gone
What's
because
the bet? What's the bet?
Well,
We
no, this might be the first time that I side with Eric tonight instead of you, Mike. If for some crazy reason they do make the playoffs,
They're gone.
you better fucking believe that Mr. Lou, I love my guys, Lamorello, is going to look at this and be like, holy shit, I didn't bet on these guys. I thought they were going to fail, and they proved me wrong. Let's bolster the roster.
Well, I hope they bolster the roster no matter what they do. I think you're missing.
No, I'm saying like keep the band together and like find somebody to add to it.
I still the only money that's going to be available is to re-sign the guys they have. So
Well, that's what I'm. That's
no,
John.
I
That's
don't
what,
think so.
Well, we just went over the list with Eric. If they keep all the guys around, there's no money.
it's like,
I don't think they're keeping all of the guys.
who are you getting rid of?
John, what is an acceptable offseason to you? How many players they have to get rid of? This is a good final question. I think
we said about 3 to 4. I would say that seems reasonable.
And they already hit one. We can agree. They already got one guy out.
But I think at least one of Perunovic, Bombquist, and D'Angelo, if not 2, are going to be gone.
None of those we had counting against the cap.
No.
You want to hear something funny? You want to hear something funny? We don't have the money to sign Brock right now. We don't.
No,
There's no money.
John, let me just specify with that. When I say 3 to 4 new faces,
I know that 3 to 4 of the core.
Yes. Okay, you get it. So I'm talking about your John Gabriel Pajots, your Ryan Pulaks, your Anders Lees. 3 to 4 of those guys.
I think it's probably going to be a mixture of Mayfield, Pajot, Pulak, and I don't think Lee's going to be gone. I think it might be someone else. Like maybe a Casey Cizikas.
Those first 3 names, if that's what Lou does, I'm back. I thank you for standing on your word for once. Thank you for giving us a new direction and trying something different, I believe. That's all you got to do. But it's got to be 3 guys that have been here forever. Like those guys.
We'll see.
That's what I mean, though. All right. I think we can
calling
close out.
Okay.
You guys want we'll say your final piece. Do you have any?
No.
Oh my God, Eric looks so disappointed.
I pretty much said everything I want to say. I'm not.
There's no reason to believe in this team.
Okay. Something
Oh my God.
you guys probably know about me, but a lot of people who don't really know me personally don't know is sports are made to like be enjoyed. I don't like not having hope in my team. And so I'm going to choose to be hopeful in situations where I can choose to be hopeful. And so I'm going to be more optimistic than most of you. And
I'm being optimistic, though, am I not? I'm being negatively optimistic.
What I'm saying is, like, I'm not going to sit here and complain about what could have happened. I'm going to be optimistic.
Well, that's what I'm being too, right? Am I not? Am I not being optimistic with my viewpoint? Is he just said that? Just follow it up. That's it. Right?
Yeah. No. I agree with that. I'm saying I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, this was a failure. I'm going to be optimistic.
Okay. Well, I have a little
appreciate that.
What was that?
Well, he said, I'm sure the Islanders appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate that because sports are supposed to be fun. And if I'm not having fun, then why am I watching?
And John and Luke goes over to John. Thank you for being a loyal fan. Here's 10%. Here's 10% off Isles Lab. You can get that sweatshirt for $600 now.
And I'll say thank you and buy the sweatshirt.
For $600? No, you don't.
No,
give it a
not for $600. But I have too many jerseys.
But okay, I hope I made my points. Listen, I don't think it makes you less of a fan for not watching the travesty unfold.
No,
for
I don't think
season.
It does. I'm just
if you want to have fun and watch, though, more power to you. But I'm ready for the team to have a direction, and right now, there's no direction. There's no direction right now.
Treading water.
My opinion. Yep.
Okay.
All right. We're good.
All right. Take care, guys. Thank you for watching. We will be back when the Islanders inexplicably make the playoffs. All right. Bye.
Facts. It's written. It's already written. Yep.